Evening. Good evening. How is everybody doing? Another day, another dollar, another live stream, as I usually say. I want to be a bit more keeping up with this, be a bit more consistent doing these. Um, and so it's just still early on. So I'm just gonna wait, give it a little bit of time. Just wait till the numbers, get the numbers in. Just one moment. It's Maureen. Hopefully Maureen can make it. I would get the link sent out on Twitter, as I always do. Just 1 second, guys. Bear with me. Hopefully that's better. Mike was playing up a bit earlier, but hopefully that's fine. Just give it. Gonna get the link sent out on Twitter. There we go. Sent. Aye, Cara. How's yourself? Doing good? Good to see you. Finola, you made it. One of my. How are you? How are you, Finola? Keeping well? Always count the regs to come through. Right. So again, I was just wanting to keep up with this, be consistent with doing these live streams. And one of the main topics, I mean, there's so many things you can get into with stuff that's going on in the world, but I have been following this stuff when it comes to with Hugh Edwards scandal, all the and all the controversy with Dan Wootton, all the allegations of Dan Wootton there as well. And so the headline was I saw that the MPs they demanded an update from the Sun on the stuff going on with Dan Wootton and Hugh Edwards. It was the Culture and Media Committee. They wrote to the Sun, specifically to the editor, chief of the Sun, Victoria Newton. So they were asking what investigations are underway with Dan Wootton. So there was a letter there, so just looking at this letter now. So it reads. This is just from yesterday. So it reads, "Dear Victoria, the committee has been following the public discussion regarding media coverage of the allegations concerning BBC presenter Hugh Edwards. We have also written to the BBC to enable them out their prior actions and next steps. Our role is not to challenge individual stories or editorial discussions, but we would be grateful if you set out the processes by which the Sun verifies any story it chooses to report, especially those where issues of privacy may be at stake. The committee has previously considered this issue to be part of its Trusted Voices inquiry, including with the Daily Mirror, and would welcome any insight into the Sun's verification and decision-making processes." And just goes on a bit. That's good for Noah. I thought I missed you. I'd been away for a little while. Still getting the rags though on here. John was on here last night. and Julia Cass as well. Yeah, so Julia Cass, Julia Cass is he had met Dan Wootton before when he was a junior member of staff on at the Sun. That's when Dan said, Dan said to him, "You only speak when you're spoken to." That's what he told Julia Cass. And the letter goes on, so it says, given the concerns that have been reported about inaccuracies, changing narratives, and lack of engagement with some of the parties involved in the case of Mr. Edwards, we would also be interested to understand what was done to verify the specific story and what, if any, reviews or discussions are ongoing about the Sun's procedures and reporting in this case, and any wider lessons to be learned. Since the story was reported, allegations have been made about a former employee of the Sun, Dan Wootton, who's just about to go on air in 5 minutes, by the way, GBUs, who has been reported as being involved in payments for sexual material. We would be grateful if you could set out what investigations are taking place into this matter. I'm sure you'll recognize how important it is for the public to have confidence as you use paper editorial standards, not only on this particular case, but across all its reporting. We look forward to hearing from you. And that was sent yesterday, just yesterday. And so Victoria Newton, the editor of The Sun, I'm reading here from The Guardian, it said that the Sun stands by Hugh Edwards' story and is investigating Dan Wootton, MPs here. And Victoria Newton told the committee that the decision to publish this was after very lengthy discussions when it comes to the stuff with Hugh Edwards. It says the Sun has said it stands by its reporting on Hugh Edwards and is continuing to investigate the former employee Dan Wootton as the tabloid faces scrutiny over its reporting standards and internal culture. Then again, though, they were very quick to post the story. They didn't name him right away, Hugh Edwards. They were worried about all this to do with laws of privacy and what have you. But it wasn't. Remember, it was Guardian that first reported on this. They were the first mainstream publication to report on this stuff with Dan Wootton. But it goes on. The editor, Victoria Newton, told MPs The Sun was a responsible media organisation which has strict editorial and legal frameworks to ensure accuracy in its reporting, while also taking allegations and internal misconduct very seriously. So this is just all the professional spiel, really. You know what I mean? We know all the dodgy stuff that goes on in the tabloid world. So it is a little bit laughable hearing that they claim to be a responsible media organization, I must say. But and it goes on, though. It goes on. So the Sun reported earlier this month that an anonymous BBC News reader, later identified as Edwards, paid a 17-year-old for explicit images, which is a criminal offence. So, how what I don't understand, but they're saying this is a criminal offence, but then nothing's happened yet with Hugh Edwards with this, that there's been no criminality, the police said. But once Hugh Edwards had been suspended by the BBC rode back on its suggestion that any illegal behaviour had taken place and blamed other news outlets. The blame game, eh? Gotta love the blame game. They blamed other news outlets for suggesting criminal acts had occurred. So they're playing the blame game after they were the ones that reported the story in the first place. It's like, well, of course, people are going to think that there could be a criminal act there. But then again, it's one thing, to say if something is a criminal act when it's not, but then it's still really bloody iffy and dodgy what he did. Somebody that was just a year over the legal age. So to kind of twist it like that and then start playing the blame game, The Sun, it's like, nah, I'm not a fan of that. Your teen children, Finola, teen children can't use their own. It's agreed plan. Yeah, I'll tell you something, Finola. I didn't even have a mobile until I was 13, and that was quite old at the time. I'm 32 now, but like kids I don't know, maybe not 10 years old, well, maybe around 10 or 11, they had a mobile. most kids, I say a lot of kids I knew that I grew up with. But my parents were pretty protective of me, though. Not wanting me to have a phone and quite protective in general about not being out for too long and that. And but yeah, you have it right though, how raising your kids, and that, yeah, and you obviously want to be very careful of maybe thing and what websites they're going on, and you always have that stuff now about safe search and child protection and what have you. I know that's probably more for kids. If your children is at the teenage age, that's a little bit different. But kids always want to rebel, do they? I had that thing when I was 8 or 9. I would want to watch 15 films, because that's what all my friends got to watch. Their parents allowed them. And, sometimes my parents would allow me on a late Saturday night to watch a 15. I don't think I ever watched an 18. Maybe once or twice when I was when I got to around 11 or 12, I did. But yeah. So with this, with what Victoria Newton's saying, so she said that the Hugh Edwards story was clearly in the public interest, as it involved parents seeking help on behalf of a vulnerable young person with an addiction to crack cocaine, who was allegedly receiving tens of thousands of pounds from one of the BBC's best-known presenters. She also said that the Sun has been a responsible publisher that was careful with potentially identifying details. At no point have we identified the gender of the young person, which the BBC has done on more than one occasion. So the point of thinking at the BBC, I don't know, to be fair, have the BBC mentioned the gender of the person? Is that a he? I haven't noticed that with the BBC. Not saying they haven't done, but... And it says here, Caroline Dinenage, she was the woman that sent the letter to Victoria Newton that I just read out. The chair of the Culture Select Committee had written to Newton requesting comment and concerns about the Sun's reporting of the Edwards story. So she cited claims of inaccuracies, changing narratives, and lack of engagement with some of the parties involved. The individual at the heart of the allegations, now aged 20, said they told the Sun before the publication that the story was rubbish. See, they did that. And blamed their parents for going to the newspaper. The Guardian has also reported that, according to the sources, the parents were offered tens of thousands of pounds for an interview with the Sun's sister television station, Talk TV, which has been recorded but not aired. So I just wonder if this is something that, if this story comes back out there, stuff to do, little rumblings with Hugh Edwards, would Talk TV release this interview? It's something they're waiting to find the right moment. They're sitting on it for now, but and it says here, Newton did not address whether the Sun had received a denial from the 20-year-old prior to publication. Right, yeah. But then I suppose the whole thing about the 20-year-old denying it, I mean, let's say you're 20 years old, you're at college, you're at university, people might know, friends, that you've actually been speaking to this Hugh Edwards, and they can put two and two together. They notice you're different. Maybe they know you've gotten into drugs, but then would they really want it to be known out there publicly that you're only 20 years old and you've got a crack cocaine? Like, not very few people, I think, would want that out there in the public eye. So Victoria Newton, she said the questions raised about our reporting have come in particular from the BBC itself, as well as a small group of anti-press campaigners who have sought to misrepresent our reporting or use selective extracts. Our vulnerability and drug addiction of the young person is also frequently omitted. We have sought to correct the reporting or commenting of opinion formers along the way. The Sun's decision to publish the original story followed lengthy discussions around the privacy and public interest justifications involving in-house lawyers and external barrister. She said the account of the parents was backed up corroborative evidence that she would not disclose to MPs. Right. So this goes on quite a bit, though. But hi, Lenny. Good to see you, mate. You've become a reg now, Lenny. You're a regular. So give me your take, guys, so far on this stuff with Hugh Edwards and Dan Wootton. I mean, the MPs, they're wanting an update on this. They're wanting to find out any of these, if there's any more developments. But what's your take overall on this stuff with Hugh Edwards and Dan Wootton? I still think it's going to be one of these things because Dan Wootton's in that tabloid world. Yeah, okay, Hugh Edwards is in the media world also, but it's maybe a little bit different. He's maybe more formed friendships with fellow news presenters. Dan Wootton's a little bit different. He's probably more formed friendships with people, the journalists, the people in the press, the people who are masters at controlling the narrative and putting out certain stories out there. If they need a certain story to distract from another, they know what to do. And so that's why I feel it's probably, they're probably going to hang, metaphorically speaking, of course, Hugh Edwards, probably well before they'll hang Dan Wootton. They'll go kicking or screaming before they'll expose the stuff that he's done, But Hugh Edwards' case surely means he can't be allowed back on TV. Don't know much about Whitlab other than Johnny Depp case. Then Wootton won. Yes, yeah. And I have my own take on that as well, but underdog for the average bloke, he's not. Hi, Maureen. Good to see you. Welcome back. Welcome back. I was just about to text you as well. But yeah, it's weird though, isn't it, Lanny, with the Hugh Edwards stuff? Because remember, it was live. It came out live when they named them. I think it was 2 weeks ago on Wednesday. I feel so long ago now as well, 14 days ago. And initially, it was that Sophie woman, the presenter. I can't remember her last name. She at first said that Hugh Edwards resigned from the BBC, but then it later came out that that's a mistake. He didn't resign. And I thought it was quite weird that they had said right away that, at first they said, oh, no, he has resigned from BBC. But then later they come out and retract that. That was weird. Is that almost like something like, was that just them all hoping that he was gone? Like, so any of them didn't like him and wanted him out and knew what he was like? Or, I mean, that's weird that all of a sudden you say something like that and about 10 minutes later you take it back. I don't know. I found that odd. Yeah, I suppose Dan Wootton in a way is a bit like Piers Morgan. Yeah. I mean, Piers Morgan, I'm sure, had people that helped them out. Obviously, I think Simon Cowell would have been the main one, right? Simon Cowell was he became really a celebrity after, once he got on that Britain's Got Talent show. That's what really, all of a sudden now he's a celebrity. He's a public figure. Okay, he was kind of in the public eye and photographs and what was pictured with celebrities. But I don't think people knew him back like in the 90s, early 2000s, like they know him now. You know what I'm saying? I suppose Dan Wootton's his face has been out there for a while because he used to be on ITV a lot. He'd go on Lorraine, he would do this other silly talk shows. But obviously, yeah, Dan Wootton, I suppose in some respects he's a bit like that. I mean, they're very similar, Piers Morgan and Dan Wootton, how they speak out about woke culture, but Dan just says the right things, though. You know what I mean? Woke ITV, woke BBC. He just says the right things that he knows people on the right. That's what they want to hear. Yeah, it's good to have you back, Maureen. Good for you to be back with us. And it goes on. Yeah, so it says so. Hugh Edwards, who is still being investigated by the BBC. Remember, there was allegations about stuff about harassing other fellow co-workers as well. He's still being investigated by the BBC. Ahmed claims he sent inappropriate messages to young members of staff. He checked into hospital earlier this month, allegedly, remember, for mental health issues. His family has been advised, and this is where it's got a bit interesting. And I did a bit of digging on this, right? His family, right? So this is Hugh Edwards' family. They're being advised by the former News of the World editor, Andy Coulson. That's right. He was the former News of the World editor. And that's who's advising Hugh Edwards' family. And Andy Coulson I did some digging on this. So he was the editor of the News of the World from 2003. Then he resigned in 2007. He was part of Cameron's personnel as a communications director. Then he left early 2011, and that was when all the stuff, phone hacking scandal was going on. And there was all these different allegations that he had gone through, stuff to do with stuff in relation to, even when it came to Tommy Sheridan, going back to 2010. Remember when Tommy Sheridan went to jail? And there's a few different things that he had gone to court for. But then he did go to prison. He was found guilty of a charge of conspiracy to intercept voicemails, phone hacking. He ended up doing about 5 months in prison back in around summer 2014 time. A lot of people were saying at the time, I was reading articles from back then, people were like, oh, his friends are saying he's done now. He's finished. He won't be able to rebuild himself. But then he got out of jail, and he was able to, he got on and he was able to actually got a contract with the Telegraph Media Group. And this was to improve the standings of the company's publications, the Sunday Telegraph and the Daily Telegraph. So he was able to bounce back, and he's still in that world. He's still in that media world, and he is the one though that's advising Hugh Edwards' family on this. So this is like the old school kind of spin doctor guy, like that Malcolm Tucker character I'd done the video about. Funny enough, I'd done that video about, when they made that joke about, oh, that's as libelous as the Hugh Edwards rumor. He's the guy though advising the family, Hugh's family. Which MPs are asking? Yeah, it's the Culture Committee, Maureen. Yeah, it's the Culture Committee. No, I know you've been quite busy, Maureen. I know from what you were saying before when you WhatsApped me. Tommy Sheridan friend. Yeah, I remember a documentary about that stuff, Cara, with Tommy Sheridan. Was he the one, the Andy Coulson guy, that when he was this like when Tommy Sheridan was representing himself in court and he was asking him questions? And allegedly what people, like, I don't know if it was Tommy Sheridan that said this or someone else said it from their account of when they were in the courtroom, that he was arrogant enough when Tommy Sheridan asked him a question, and basically Andy knew that Tommy knew what he was saying was right. Basically, he had caught him out on something. But Andy Coulson was arrogant enough in a full courtroom there with everybody there looking at Tommy Sheridan and wink at him. And then basically, whatever it was he was accusing him of, he denied it. I think, is that the guy? I don't know if you know that story exactly, but I remember watching a documentary on that about Tommy Sheridan, about all that stuff, about all those allegations, bars in England and that. And I didn't know what to believe. There was like a part of me that thought at first, okay, maybe it's true. Watched a bit more of it, and I thought, well, maybe it's not true. And then later, maybe it is true, because Sheridan, they said that Sheridan was always saying the thing about he was playing the blame game with Rupert Murdoch. But then I thought, well, would a billionaire like Rupert Murdoch, an Australian billionaire, really know about a socialist MP like Tommy Sheridan? Would he have really had it in for the wee? Let's be honest, they were a small party, the Scottish Socialist Party. I know Tommy Sheridan was known. There was the stuff that rested when there was all the stuff with the poll tax in the early 90s. But was he really that well known for it to be on the radar of Rupert Murdoch? I don't know. Yeah, you're speaking about Dan Wootton and Piers Morgan. Yeah. I mean, I think at the end of the day, Lanny, yeah, it is a little bit of a distraction, isn't it? Because at the end of the day, the main thing will be they'll push the climate change agenda, which you can see they're trying to do right now. they want us to pay a carbon tax. That's what Buddy Gates has spoke about going back like 15 years ago, maybe even longer. So they get us all caught up and distracted with the silly things to do with gender neutral, non-binary, this, that, the other. And then, you know, conservatives are blabbing on about the Barbie film and what have you. But, and yeah, it's funny just to have a wee rant over it for 30 seconds, whatever. But there is more bigger, serious things going on in the world right now. You know, we can't forget that. They're all so corrupt. Yeah, I couldn't agree more, Finola. Yeah, they're all corrupt. They're all at it. But that's Mr. Andy Coulson, though, for some of you guys, in case you know that name. And it went on, so it said Wootton was asked to provide MPs details of an internal investigation to claims that Wootton used that Martin Brannan name to offer tens of thousands of pounds to colleagues in return for explicit images. Dinenage said, we would be grateful if you could set out what investigations are taking place into this matter. I'm sure you will recognise how important it is for the public to have confidence in a newspaper's editorial standards, not only in this particular case, but across all its reporting. Newton confirmed external law firm Kingsley Napley had been hired to advise in the investigation. She said, on Mr. Wootton, we are investigating relevant matters raised by reports by Byline Times and The Guardian last week. We take these allegations seriously, but we're in no position to comment further, and indeed we make no commitment to make any further comment. No commitment to make any further comment depending on the outcome of our investigation. It's just all words, really. Let's be honest. It doesn't really mean anything. I imagine she'll still have loyalty to Dan, probably, you know, even if Dan was upset that she took his main contact, like the royal family, once she got the job 3 years ago. It's one of those, hey, no hard feelings, water under the bridge type of thing, and she'll probably protect Wootton, you know, old pals act, I guess. But yeah, so Wootton has retained his nightly show. Yeah, they won't do anything, GBUs. He's retained his nightly show where he has blamed quote unquote dark forces for trying to bring him down. His lucrative twice weekly column at Mail Online has not appeared since allegations against him were first made. Yeah, that's one thing. I don't think is also, I think he stopped tweeting. But just look here. His last tweet was 4 days ago. So maybe his lawyers have advised him not to be tweeting anymore. That wouldn't surprise me that happened there. But give me your take overall, guys, on this. Let me know. Just give me your overall thoughts, what you think about the stuff with Hugh Edwards. Let me know what you think about Dan Wootton as well. Haven't been in articles in the Daily Mail, yeah. But obviously, I highly doubt they're reporting on this stuff, are they, Dan Wootton, though? They wouldn't be reporting on one of their own, huh? Yeah, because you can't really see anything there about Dan Wootton. You see all the stuff there with Nigel Farage and Coots Bank, but they wouldn't be reporting on this stuff, though. Need receipts and facts. Yeah, I mean, I got into the stuff with Byline Times, Maureen, you know, that stuff. They had their third part from the investigation. They posted that. They posted that last night. Just looking at a lot of things right now. Sorry, but I'll get to that, and I'll get to that later. But yeah, but let me know, guys. Let me know your thoughts. Leave a comment. Leave a comment. Give me your take on Dan Wootton and Hugh Edwards. Let me know. Just a sec. Lanny, Hugh Edwards is just Schofield Part 2. Schofield tried to escape the scandal by coming out. Ultimately, 3 years later, it came out due to his big falling out with Holly Willoughby. And there was all the stuff as well. Obviously, the timing where the stuff was brother didn't help either, right? You got an ad as your typing, Maureen. These silly adverts. The only thing about the stuff with Schofield, the difference with the thing though, Lenny, that went on for so long though. That was a story for what, 5 weeks, 6 weeks even? Like, that was so long, that story. They'd buy and sell you these people. Well, I suppose if you get in a deeper conspiracy about it, Finola, you could say this is all just done as a one big shit show, a big major distraction. Well, yeah, I mean, that's the thing. When you think of mainstream things, Maureen, because I think, and you might have heard this from Matthew Steeples, Sean Atwood speaking before, that Telegraph wouldn't report on this stuff with Dan Wootton. Daily Mail aren't obviously going to, obviously Daily Mail aren't going to report on it because that's Dan Wootton works for them. He did a column, two columns a week with them. The Sun, his former employer, probably don't really want to report it because that was their former guy, and then it makes them look bad if all this stuff is brought into the public. You know, all this stuff when you've got to do with NDAs being signed off, done, and was it people got payouts of about £1 million? People were on the verge of suicide because of the bullying, alleged bullying from Dan Wootton. Sorry, what? Oh yeah, where is Cal Maureen? Where's he gone? did you say before that he was like limited to like, was it you could only do videos like 20 minutes for a video or something? I think you said something like that before. Lanny might do some contrived mental health struggle video. Assume this is a victim of media intrusion. Do you think he'll do an interview with that same guy that did the interview with Schofield, Lanny? What was that guy, the Ajan guy? He's Indian. It wouldn't surprise me. And that's something that I was meaning to actually talk a little bit about that again, because that was such a fucking softball questions that he asked Schofield as well. Like, well, I mean, Hugh Edwards played the mental health card for Nola. You know what I mean? I know people who play that card. You know. I actually worked with somebody in an old job, and they were just very immature. This guy, very immature, childish guy, and he was so unprofessional. Like, he would be talking shit about the company, and the main boss man is only a couple of desks away, and he could hear. And I think they had basically threatened to give him the sack, get him the sack. Right, he was going to get sacked, and then all of a sudden he starts claiming that he has Asperger's syndrome. Now, Asperger's could be a very serious thing. I don't want to knock that, but I just thought that was very convenient. And all of a sudden, that was a thing. He had that when his job was on the line, you know? Uh, and that kind of made me shake my head a bit. I was thinking, you're just at it, mate, playing the old mental health card, which pisses me off because people out there with real, genuine mental health problems. It just gives people like that are. It's not good. It's not good for the cause when it comes to mental health and people who generally need, they're struggling and they want to get better. Then they get these clowns that are at it, trying to play the system at work. Yeah, Lenny, exactly. That's what it was, wasn't it? The Schofield interview. It was totally rehearsed. Um, well, I don't know, Maureen. I mean, I maybe agree to disagree on that. I mean, I feel that he should have asked tougher questions, right? Now, the stuff with Schofield, that what was it, like a 45-minute interview they did on the BBC. Um, Now, I imagine there was much more filmed. There would have been some things edited, right? That's just how these things work. So I don't know if let's say if they filmed 45 minutes, let's say maybe they could have filmed for 2.5 hours maybe, and then they only show you 45 minutes. But I think there was important questions to be there that they should have aired. They had, you had Eamon Holmes saying about it was a toxic atmosphere at this morning. Holly and Phil didn't treat people well. They were notorious for not remembering people's names. Why did questions like that not come up? And why didn't the guy ask Phil, well, in hindsight, could you not look back in hindsight and think, well, maybe I could have treated people a bit better. I could have treated people more fairly. But he brought up nothing about what Eamon Holmes said in that interview. Nothing with all that stuff, with NDAs being signed and all that, people getting paid off to keep quiet. Not that wasn't brought up. And not even to simply just ask the simple question of, in hindsight, if you could look back, could you have maybe be treated people a little bit fairly, or at times you came a bit off, maybe abrasive, maybe some people rude? Didn't ask any of those questions, though. And Philip Schofield just wrote it off, right? He just wrote it off as just a bunch of angry people mad because they're not on the show anymore. That was the easy thing to say, the easy way to just dismiss what everybody was saying about it being like a toxic culture there. But multiple people had spoken about their time and they thought it was very unpleasant the way they were treated backstage. You had the people who were on the show like Kerry Katona, Jodie Marsh, you had Sonia Polton. There was quite a lot of people that said that they weren't treated well by Phil and Holly. Maybe more specifically Phil. Interesting, Maury. I'll check that out, the behavior panel, this thing with Schofield. There was a video that came up on my thing earlier on my feed. It was a something mafia. It was like, it might have been like to do with these top news presenters from like the late 80s, early 90s. And you saw Schofield there early on, an early photo of him, and it must have been his wife. You had a picture of Anthea Turner on there. Can't remember, it was something mafia or something, but I should have took a note of and put clip to watch later, but I can't remember. So I'm sure I'll find it somewhere though by Lying-itis, Lanny. Absolutely. You rate the behavior panel as well, Fanoa? Right. Yeah, it's definitely something I'll make it a point to check it out. No doubt. That could be what it is, Fanoa. That's what they want to do. They normalize it. Yeah. I mean, Philip Schofield tried to make it out like it was a homophobic thing, but nobody was homophobic on this. It was never a homophobic thing. Only idiots think it was a homophobic thing. The people who are critical of Philip Schofield. Like, he was trying to make the point that, like, you know, when Leonardo DiCaprio gets with young women, that it's like a little ha ha wink wink kind of thing, and people don't say it's inappropriate. But you know, again, I don't know if there's stuff that inappropriate, dodgy goes on with, you know, Leonardo DiCaprio. I just know he doesn't seem to ever want to be married, have children. He just likes going out dating young blonde women. He can sometimes be pictured with like all hot, gorgeous. It could be 6, 7 young blondes in a photograph. You know, like. Meghan Markle. Yeah. Oh, yeah. She also said that she was suicidal as well, Finola, right? But then I mean, that's a pretty strong thing, though, to speculate whether somebody's obviously not telling the truth, they're suicidal or not. I mean, Meghan didn't do herself any favors, though. She's not done herself any favors with how she's come off and how she's operated in her life and how cold she's been towards her own family, and you know how she's, you know, essentially used people over the years. You know, I mean, I know people like her. You know, it's very much that "what have you done for me lately" mindset. Yeah, I noticed that with Kevin Spacey, right? And buddy Elton John was there in court, kind of like testifying there. I mean, I don't know necessarily he was defending him, right? But he was just, it was something to do with an event that he went to, right? Like 18, 19 years ago. And he was giving his account of events. Yeah, what about X modding? Good question, because I just do not know. You know, some people are, I have to admit, I'm on the fence with this, and I don't usually like being on the fence, but some people are really for it, some people are really against it. I just don't know. I do have my doubts there. This is supposed to be like he's this whole thing with like a Chinese, what some are saying, like a Chinese social credit score system, and I'm a little bit concerned there. Some might say it could be good. It could be benefit people to get, like, Elon maybe sees it as kind of like a good way of, I guess, of capitalism, because he's saying it's going to he wants this to represent like half the global financial system. He had said in a podcast, and so again, does Elon, does he mean well? Does he want everybody to get their kind of their slice of the pie, so to speak? You know, not kind of like in a socialist sense, but more kind of like, well, if you're a creator, if you do content, you get there with advertising. You know, there's the process thing now on. I was going to say Twitter, but it's X now. You got that thing for monetization for content creators. But I don't know. I don't know. And it just came out of nowhere. Literally, did it late last night. The other night, sorry. That, you know, that it's going to be rebranded as X. And then yesterday, all of a sudden, it's weird because you're so used to that blue bird logo at the top, right? And that's gone away, and it's bloody this weird X logo. But some people are skeptical about this. They're skeptical about Elon Musk in general. You know, some people are saying that maybe the timing of it is a bit weird, but all of a sudden, with people now getting advertisers revenue, and this is the people, like the top people, the top content creators. You know, they've got such a huge following with followers, and their videos get millions of views, hundreds of thousands of views. Some of their they'll be getting thousands like monthly paid to them in this advertisers revenue. But then that could be just a whole thing just to lure them into this thing that what he really wants with this new, X. If he wants it to be kind of like a similar thing to WeChat China, like social credit score system. So some people are speculating that this is like a bait and switch thing, getting in the content creators to this. But then really it's a plan for more. It's to take away, because that's really what they're saying with all this stuff. It's very, like they say, it's very good WeChat. It's more than just, it's like China's version of WhatsApp, but then this is more when it comes to, this is, you can make payments on this or WeChat thing. You could be out with a friend in a restaurant and you could split the bill, which some people say that's maybe a good thing, because then, you might always get that kind of, you always get a miser pal that doesn't want to pay his fair share. But I don't know. I do have my doubts about this overall, though. This whole stuff about X and Elon, though. I want to give them the benefit of the doubt, though. Yeah, it's going to take me a while to get used to that logo, Maureen. Well, this even goes back before PayPal in 1999. It was X.com that he had, right, Maureen? That's what he... The Bluebird. Do you still have the... I don't get the Bluebird on my one. It's still known as Twitter.com, but I get the X logo coming up on Twitter. Maybe not everybody's got it yet, though, but... Do they? Do they? And that's just to get the blue tick, right, Maureen? There's so many different things now to bloody get on Twitter. It's hard to keep up. I don't even know if it's worth it. Maybe I could get it for 1 month. Because it's that thing, right? You could get it for 1 month and then cancel it, right? And maybe try it for 1 month, see if it makes any difference. I don't know if it really does now, though, does it? But... Yeah, I suppose that's the thing. Maybe a little bit. If you could actually cancel it, I could get it for a month, see what it's like. But yeah, so it's $60 a month. It says you can cancel at any time. It might be something I get because overall it can help me with my overall platform, my channel. I guess I call this a because my whole thing is I'd like for everything to be done as like Stephen Mackey, but then again though maybe I could have a thing of like having different channels and stuff, but because I was saying that, wasn't I, about a particular channel that I was thinking of setting up last week. What was that again? Because I've got so many different ideas in my mind, like running through my mind, and it's like I've got a bit of ADHD in me, really, to be honest with you. I shouldn't write shit down. As soon as you get that thing, you got an idea in your head, right away you should take a note of that, write it down. If you've got to record it, do it, because you can very well easily lose it. And it's just that when you have that bit of creativity there and it just goes away, it's not a nice feeling though if you lose it. Biden talking about a bunch of shit now. How are they allowing him? How are they rolling him up there still? Like, what the fuck? Like, your alter ego, yeah, the Maxter. Yeah, there's a couple of different things I can do though, for sure. You see it. You see how these big channels do things like they'll have a separate channel for clips and then stuff like that. I actually got my first paycheck today from YouTube. They paid me finally. It was about 2.5 months in the making from getting monetized now to actually something in my bank account. So I just got to keep it rolling. It definitely sets them onto something here, though, and it's good to build like a good regular group of people. For the most part, most people obviously try and get on when they can. Don't always get on all the time, but it's good though that we built up. So we all seem to get along fairly like-minded. Yeah, we disagree on some things, but not everything. You know, it's pretty civil overall. No one's a dick on here. Yeah, I know, Finola. It is too much. It's too much. Yeah, yeah, I am. Yeah, I mean, it's funny, Finola, because I had that thing where I said in that a cappella, it's all bullshit. I said, cost of living, so unforgiving, the shit's just beginning. And what was the other line I had? Yeah, so I said, the dude told his landlord, I can't pay the rent, kid. They'll keep us dependent. I was actually thinking that with that, it's all a cappella to have like a video done for it. It's just finding the time, but I could always, I look about in Fiverr and stuff like that somebody could do the video. Um, yeah, how much, Maureen? Well, I'll put it this way, Maureen. Unfortunately, it isn't three figures or more. It's two figures. But it's a start, though. I just missed out because when I did the Dark Side of Philip Schofield video blew up. But at that point, I wasn't monetized. But if I'd had all those thousands of views, from that video and some of the other videos I did in Philip Schofield, I'd have made some pretty good. I'd probably be in the hundreds of what I would have made. But I just missed out, though. Yeah, you'd like to think the bills would be coming down a bit for Noah, but it seems here, though, in UK, though, we've got it the worst, though, with the living. We've even got it the worst more even in America, which surprised me when I heard that. Alex Salmon's trending. Has he been caught out doing something? I think he was on LBC radio earlier on. I think he's still trying to peddle the Scottish independence thing. Has he got some fringe show going on or something, Salmon? Yes. So, were you guys not a fan of Salmon? I take it all that stuff with the allegations. People here aren't probably all that big on him. Yeah. I had a feeling you would like him, Cara. Yeah, it's all good, Maureen. It's just old school. My parents raised me though. Don't tell people what you make, but So yeah, so somebody's saying here about, oh, this is what somebody was tweeting this about Alex Salmond. It says the willingness to dismiss his behaviour in office, resulting in a rape trial in which he was found not guilty, but where his own defence characterised Salmond as touchy feely with women staff and acknowledged sexual contact with two of the complainants. Also appalling. Yeah, because it's weird because my uncle knows him. My uncle, who's in advertising, and he was there with his wife. And Alex Salmon knew who he was right away, so they went over, shook hands, and then he then goes and greets, my uncle's wife, and she's a Hungarian woman, and he actually kisses her, kisses her on the cheek, which I thought, well, that's a bit, I know that's something that people do, certain cultures, like Spanish culture, they do that, maybe is that maybe Dutch culture, but I don't know. I don't know if I'd feel like a man that maybe I don't know all that well, all of a sudden kissing my wife, girlfriend, partner, whatever. I don't think I'd be particularly happy with that, but I know that's certain thing, just how it is, culture, but I don't know. That wouldn't work for me though. Just his, how are you? Hi. Is this your first server? It's been on here before. Spud talk. You said Salante, just his, because I quickly Googled that. So Salante is a name that represents a tendency to exhibit extremes in terms of material success. You are either possessing a great deal of good fortune or none at all. Well, I'm an all or nothing guy, so I can relate to that in a way. That's what the meaning is, Salante. Yeah, that's exactly right, Maureen. Yeah. Salante, that name. So is that an Irish name, Salante? I hadn't heard that name before. Free Spirit. Have you been watching one of my raps? Just his. Yeah, I just when you said Free Spirit, that made me think of that rap line I had in my song. You've had good times, but you've also had your haters. You missed that girl that wore a dress along with trainers, like a free spirit. You can admit it. At the very start, Katie had a loving heart. Don't gamble. I just gamble in a sophisticated way with the stock market. But hi, Julia Cass. Evening. How are you? Du, du, du. Da da dee da 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 dee da da. Bottoms up. You're getting the haircut I got, right, Cara, last week. You could get it shaved at the sides, Sometimes when girls get that cut, like they get it shaved one side, that's quite a hot look, to be fair. All right, yeah, just his, right. It's interesting you say that, just his, because I think people that have been drawn to my channel are like true crime people. I'm not necessarily a true crime guy, um, but it's some stuff though that I'd be like, and this is something I'll tell you something just his because it's that thing, the whole thing about Obama's personal chef that was found dead yesterday evening. That is something that I was going to get into, and I will. I might do a separate video for that. Like I can touch on that as I get on with this. But I have been covering this stuff when it comes to Dan Wootton, Hugh Edwards. There was the big Schofield scandal as well last month. I don't know, 2 months ago. You don't know if you heard about that, but when it comes to some stuff like American stuff, like I'm not a big true crime guy, but when it comes to like stuff maybe like with the Clintons and Obama's controversy there, that is some stuff I'd like to get into. Yeah, I think I'm actually gonna. It's probably a bit better shorter now. I'm gonna stick at it like number one, sides in the back for me here. At least one thing with women, you're there's no limit to all the options of hairstyles you can have. You know, us dudes, we're just happy to have hair at a certain stage. Yeah, well, that's the thing, Finoa. Are you talking about my hair? Or are you talking about Kara's hair? My hair was probably a bit too long before. It was better to get it more slick, shorter at the sides and the back, though, I think, overall. But Twitter. Huh. Well, I was just speaking just his about whether I should pay $8 a month for the blue tick, on Twitter. Or X as it's now called. Cash only. Well, cash only is the way to go, really. I mean, they can't be getting rid of cash. I mean, that's really the agenda of the elite, right? They want a cashless society. It ties in with the social credit thing. So if you're disobedient, you know, then if you think you're a disobedient citizen for whatever reason it may be, or whatever bullshit reason it could be, they could just shut down your money, shut down your bank account. David Icke's been speaking about this cashless society for probably 20 years or so. And they ban him for look at all the countries they ban him from entering and speaking, doing speaking engagements at. Flirty behavior going on. I'm on Discord just his. I think the thing is, Lanny, though, if you're really in need of help, though, they can loan you out extra money, though, can they not? Overall, though, when it comes to this X thing, it's going to take me a while to get used to this bloody weird X tick. It's just not nice in the eye, personally. Actually, some people might disagree, but I find the little blue bird better. Paz just loves being a troll. I love Paz. These buddy woke comedians saying, was it Omid Persian guy? Mr. Farage accepts apologies by the BBC and makes an important stand for racists everywhere. Oh me. Racists are an endangered group and must be protected. Paz, buddy, grow up. I'm with you on that, mate. Really just his? Is that true? My granddad was from Kilmarnock. He grew up there. Kilmarnock's actually an Irish name. That is Irish, Kilmarnock. It was kind of like predominantly, it was a Catholic town. What you're saying, though, that's very interesting about if that's true about Putin. I didn't know that. So it's like an Irish connection he would have then, would it? Kilmarnock's Irish. I was reading here that it says here Putin held meetings with the official IRA. This was during 2 visits to Belfast in the 1980s. He was part of 2 separate delegations from the Soviet Union that visited Ireland. It visited Ireland in 1986. Did not know that. Yeah. Look up Mackey. Feel free, just his. Look up my surname, Mackey. I was just looking up that. It was just like a. Let's see if there's any Scottish. Funnily enough, right? I just looked this up. Allegedly, Vladimir Putin is a Scottish independence supporter. This Daily Express. Russia could have stepped in, filled the void left by UK spending, while the nuclear deterrent would be left in disarray. He believes that he thinks it would work, Scottish independence, because then it would weaken the West. So that's really his reason, not because he thinks it would benefit the Scottish people. Obviously, he doesn't give a shit about them, about us. Oh, sorry, Geocast. No, I was meaning to, but I will. I will. Shit, I could even watch it in a few minutes if you want. You won't see it, but I mean, you can see my reaction. Murphy, right? Yeah, that singer. Do you remember Moloko Finola? She was Irish. You know the Bring It Back song. Is it Roisin Murphy? I always had it in my mind for some reason. Finola Moloko was Scottish as well. I don't know why, but Irish. Close enough, right? Celtic connection. I like that song back in the day. Bring It Back though. And then Time Is Now was another good one as well. Yeah, I suppose that is pretty strong, is it? With this wee tiny island, 5 million people, would we weaken the West? I mean, would we, Finola? I mean, I'm a proud Scot, but I mean, at the same time, though, do we really have that much power? Like, I don't know. Funny little country. Yeah, I've got love for the Irish, though. That's Irish on my mum's side, so I've been to Isle of Man before. Never been to Ireland though, but one day, one day. Yeah, she was blonde. Yeah, that's right, Finola. She does look quite different now though when you see her. They should have been bigger as well, eh, Moloko? Yeah, it's Macie, just his, my surname. You know that's a Scottish name, right away, right? Probably is. Doesn't get enough credit. It probably is one of the more common Scottish names, Mackie. Julio Cast, that isn't the Just Stop Oil people doing that, is it? Did you guys see that video the Just Stop Pissing Everybody Off crowd did to combat the protests of Just Stop Oil? And then they hijacked one of their banquets. They got in and then they had these alarms, loud sounding alarms. It's like this top of this like cathedral they were at. And then the alarms on the balloons, helium balloons, went right up, went off, and they were so high up there was no way they were ever going to get up there. and and then it's just that alarm still sounding off. There was like, I don't know, they might have had, I don't know, about 7, 8, 9 alarms all going off at one. It was they had it coming though. That's right, Maureen. I think that name Mackey came around. I think Sterling. They had the first record of someone at Mackey was in Sterling. Um, Bay City Rollers, yeah. Well, some of their songs were catchy, Lanny. My mum went to school with a guy, Woody, funny enough, in Edinburgh. She went to school with Woody, same academy. Simple Minds, they're okay. They're okay. I don't know. I mean, underrated. Would you say Texas maybe underrated? Proclaimers even. Shanghai, yeah. But to be fair, right, that Bye Bye Baby song they did, that probably sounds more catchy, more upbeat. It's probably overall better than the original, right? That was it the Four Seasons that did that song originally? Bye Bye Baby, Frankie Valley, Four Seasons. Yeah, they are bloody awful, are they? Just up oil. All right, you have a Scottish grandfather, just his. All right. So is that your ancestry starts the Scottish ancestry from your grandfather? Your dad's Scottish, or oh, that is sad about that Maureen, isn't it? That is sad. Yeah, so Lowland would have been more, Highlands as the bloody, talking Fort William, Huntly, Peterhead, all those places further up, Inverness. Lowland would have been more down Stirling way. Proclaim your cup of tea. The Scottish folk claim Rod Stewart. Yeah, Rod Stewart, he's one of our own, Lenny. Aye, he is. Definitely one of our own. No, I'm into Proclaimers. I saw them live. Hogmanay 2005. That was heathen. Buddy Coral were there and Buddy Liberty X were on the bill as well. It was proper mad though. Everything just kicked off as soon as the Coral came on. So you've got all the Buddy indie emo folk, whatever. All these fuckers started just causing. Oh mate, it was mental. People crowd surfing. It was crazy. 500 Miles is a classic. Yeah. Oh, Sunshine and Leaf, yeah, because that's the song Hibs use, and Hibernian. Uh, that's the kind of song that you give you get goosebumps listening to that song. Like Letter from America, that's another good one as well. Nah, I like Proclaimers though. I'm into them. I'm not really a fan of Lewis Capaldi though. That's one. I'm not. I just not into his stuff though. I've got to say. Midure, yeah, yeah. Well, he had some. What was that? What was that song that he had again? What was the group that he was part of Midure? Claire Grogan. Yeah, she was the actress in Gregory's Girl, right? Yeah, she was the inspiration. See, I know my stuff about music, Finola. She was the inspiration for the song that Spandau Ballet did, True. They had dated her and what's his name, Gary Kemp, Dua Lipa. Yeah, yeah, because she's okay to be fair. I quite like that song that she's on by Elton John, Cold Heart. It's quite catchy. There's like a house dance version I listen to. It's quite decent. Watch Dance the Night Away, or I'll take a note of that. To flip up. Yeah, Ireland does have an interesting vibe, Julio Cass. Good old Scottish humour, Julio Cass, right? Yeah, I know, Geldof. It's like mid-year is just a wee little annoying sidekick, right? That's how they kind of how it's kind of portrayed that way, isn't it? They edited the lyrics, didn't they, of that song? You don't say any longer. You wouldn't say, would you? Oh, there won't be snow in Africa this Christmas time. Greatest year they'll get his life. That's too politically insensitive now, right? To say that. Anya, yeah, Anya, Orinoco Flow, right? Yeah, you acquired taste as Anya. Uh, I actually did a video I created one time with Anya. I think it was the song she's got called Meditation. Did not a bad job on this one. I've got Welsh on my dad's side, Maureen. I'm proper Brit. I'm a proper Brit. This is a link to Anya Meditation. There's a video I put. See what you think of that. I was at the group, the Lizzie. All right. Just a bit before my time, Lenny. But I like 80s music though, overall. Probably stuff that I like was probably more your UB40, Madness, stuff like that. There's even Alnwick Castle in England, Julia Cass, very north of England. I was there in 2003. That's where they filmed the scenes for the Quidditch and Harry Potter film. So that was good. It was a kid to go there, where that's what they filmed with the Quidditch stuff and Harry Potter. That was pretty cool. Just running about there, going crazy. Good times. One of the best countries to Eurocast. I don't know if it's the best. Was it like 71, 72 now, Bob Geldof? He's getting on a bit, eh? I bet. I take your word. It's lush. That's Strand's advert. I'll take a note of that so I don't forget. Check that out. That was seen as one of the worst adverts of all time, right? Strand's cigarette. I've never really been a smoker, though. I did vape a little last year, but it wasn't good, though. It's not. You want to be careful, seriously. Don't be vaping too much. It can be quite harmful. Yeah, wouldn't we all, Finola? Wouldn't we all? Oh, sorry, Joe Castle, live in a castle. Oh, aye. Yeah. Buddy, Al, I just came across the most random thing. Something about, remember Steve Brookstein, right? He won the very first X Factor. His wife, funnily enough, she taught at my old secondary school. His wife was a music teacher. Steve, though, I mean, he seemed an alright guy, to be fair, but winning the X Factor, though, I mean, I don't know. I don't know if he was ever going to be destined to be selling millions of records, or maybe his ego just got in the way, though. He didn't play the game. He had a falling out with Cowell. Yeah, I'll definitely check out those adverts. Yeah. You guys watch that guy James English? James English seems to get all these big interviews, right? He interviewed Andrew Tate. I believe he's just interviewed it. Just went up. He interviewed that guy Mizzy, right? James English. He's somebody I'm a little bit. I do watch a couple of stuff. I'm not like a huge, follower, disciple, whatever his though. But I will check out the odd interview that he does though here and there. What do you guys think of him though? Do I come? And what's your take overall on this wildfire stuff, Cara? Do you think this could be like a legitimate climate change thing or not? I don't know enough about all that stuff though to kind of comment, but well, yeah, I mean, there's conspiracy theories about Bob Geldof there, Lanny, isn't there? About the Michael Hutchin, his suicide. Some people think that wasn't actually a suicide. And yeah, Geldof, I don't know. I mean, there is some questions there about all that stuff to do with the charity work, all the bloody charity work that he does, and that all that money supposedly did it all go to the right causes? Did it all go to charity? I mean, for a guy like Boomtown Rats, I mean, okay, they had some success, but they weren't like huge. They weren't massive, But what he was able to do, though, all the Live Aid stuff, Live Aid, was extraordinary. Alan Bryan and Stephanie Bonner, not Boner. Girl at my school had that name, Bonner, but to be fair, she never really got made fun of all that much, though. She was a popular girl. It might have been a different story if she wasn't popular, though. Yeah, I've noticed that, Lanny, with interviews that Gaza does. It's the same old stories, isn't it? About the same pranks that he used to pull. And yeah, I think did he call Boris a fat fuck or something when he met him at a charity football game, something like that, right? I mean, he was a messed up character though, Hutchin, right? I mean, he made it a point, right, when he was young, when she was very young, and he dated Kylie Minogue, right? He said he wanted to corrupt her, right? So he wasn't a saint. See you, Finoa. Take care. Night. He's a Scottish podcaster, Julio Cass, James English. His channel's Anything Goes with James English. So there's the Mizzy thing. He did one with a footballer who it was a civil court was found guilty of rape, David Goodwillie. Andrew Tate interview. If you're interested in hearing what Andrew Tate has to say for 2-3 hours. Harvey Goldsmith. That name rings a bell, Harvey Goldsmith. But I know Ali Campbell, UB40, he said that, Bob Geldof didn't like him. That was the reason that UB40 weren't on Live Aid. Like Geldof personally did the band, or maybe more specifically Ali Campbell. He's just too fucked up in the head, Gaz. He's always on these shows, kind of like saying some real inappropriate and disgusting things, and it's too much, is it? Yeah, yeah. I saw that document. I saw that show drama, Cara. What I'm trying to say, drama on ITV about Raul Moat. They didn't. They didn't show Gaza on it. I mean, they mentioned the thing about Gaza going down there, but uh, yeah. I mean, you've got a point there about Kylie Minogue. You've got a point about Kylie there, and she didn't fully bounce back. Let's face it, until 2000 when she had spinning around, which it was a good pop record. Yeah, English. I know. Shit surname, isn't it? Couldn't think of any worse surname to have than that. Da da dee da 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 dee da da da. Dur, dur, dur. I might just start to wrap this up shortly, guys. So, just any comment though, any other questions that you've got, just let me know. Yeah, put a needle on it, Danny Minogue. Yeah, she had a couple of like songs that were like so, but I suppose spinning around that was quite a good song because he had that kind of ways. The 2000 was music though. John How did he know? Now I know that's just the thing people say, right? But I've seen actually Mike Stock because guys that like I've corresponded with a couple of people who've interviewed Mike and speak to Mike and know him quite well. There's guys like Sage Aquay. He's the guy that's behind the whole Paul is dead conspiracy, Lenny. Mike Williams, Sage Aquay, may have heard of him. I've corresponded with him before. There's a Mark Devlin as well. And there was a podcast that Mark Devlin did, and he was speaking with Mike Stock. It was the Right Said Fred lads were on, and it was funny enough that guy Matt Hoy got kicked out of UB40 with the pandemic. Well, he wasn't going to take the JAB, so they kicked him out. But they were all on speaking. I have seen those interviews. Yeah, they are quite interesting. It's pretty interesting his take overall on the whole thing, Lenny. But a lot with what he says, though, what he thinks, I can't agree, to be honest with you. Hutchin, was he abusing heavy drugs, right? Hmm. Lost a taste of a sense of taste and smell from a fist fight with a taxi driver in Germany. Hmm. Yeah, Mike Stock. His name is Mike Stock, Lenny. I wouldn't say I agree with everything. He's very caught up in the conspiracy theory world, though, that guy. But He's okay though. He's not too bad. Yeah, it's Mike Stock. Aye. Right. Okay. I'm going to start wrap this up now, guys. It's getting quite late. Probably just need to lie down somewhere, the dark room. Felt like a pretty long day, but it's been fairly productive, getting stuff done. Just going to keep more active, doing more live streams, and probably just upload more videos in general. So I might be back tomorrow with a live stream. No guarantee though. But I'll keep you guys posted. I'll leave a post, let you know, give you a heads up. So I'm just going to finish this off now for tonight. No, thank you, Cara, and thanks everybody. It's always been it's good vibes for you guys, and I like this. Like the regulars, people come here. Just Tez was you. You know, he seems to have an affinity for us Scottish and Irish, British people overall. But it's all good though. It's a good vibes here. No one's an asshole, and most people, everybody seems to get along, and we can have little disagreements, but it's civil though. But thanks very much, though, guys. So I might be back tomorrow, a live stream, but I'll keep you posted tomorrow. And as I say, we'll give you a heads up. We'll probably ideally try and do it around 8 to 9, 8 to 9 o'clock. But thanks very much, guys. Have a lovely rest of your evening, and take care, everybody. Good night.